Thanks for tuning in. This is the Revelation Bible Study. If you've been following along the last couple of, um, Bible studies, we got to the point that we talked about what the abomination of desolation is. And today we're going to talk about what the seven trumpets are and what they represent. And we might even talk about it a little bit more than that, or maybe not. I don't know. Let's see what happens. We're probably just going to talk about the seven trumpets. But the first trumpet is Revelation chapter 8, verse 7, and it reads, "The first angel blew his trumpet, and there followed hell fire mixed with blood, and these were thrown upon the earth, and a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass burned up." So the first trumpet gets sounded, and as you can see, one third of the earth burned up, one third of the trees, one third of the green grass burned up. This is another war that happens. So you got the 7 years, right? They get started with the peace agreement. We talked about that in the Daniel verse that he shall make a covenant with many for 1 week. That's the 7 year period, the 7 years of the peace agreement. And then you got in the middle of the 7 years, the abomination that causes desolations, when the Antichrist or the Pope, the false prophet, when one of them or maybe both of them, we will see in future studies which one, walks into the third temple and commits what is called the abomination that causes desolation. And I explained that that's going to be when a unclean animal like a pig would be sacrificed onto the altar in the third temple. And that causes the abomination, that causes desolation, that causes a war to break out. And now you got these seven trumpets being blown. And the first trumpet is a war that breaks out, a war on the land. So essentially what you got going on is that the armies gathering together on the land to fight each other. And this war is going to happen. It's going to be with resorts of the Antichrist going into the third temple and committing the abomination that causes desolation, that the abomination that causes desolation, it causes this stuff to happen. These trumpets are also significant when we talk about the wrath of the Lord. The trumpets being blown, this is part of the wrath of the Lamb. Something I want to point out before we get going, the effects of 1/3 of the trees being burned up. So whenever the first trumpet gets blown, 1/3 of the trees are burned up. And this is from war that is going on because of what happened. The war causes 1/3 of the trees to be burned up. The benefits of having trees, you got the air being purified. It gives homes to animals that would otherwise give people diseases. It brings 25% cooler temperatures. So like in the city, when you have more trees in the city, it makes the temperature 25% cooler. This is a scientific fact. One tree can conspire 11,000 gallons of water into the atmosphere. Think about that, 11,000 gallons of water. When you have 1/3 of the trees of the earth being burned up, each tree is taking away 1,000 gallons of water going into the atmosphere. Each tree that's being burned up, that's less trees purifying the air, less trees for animals to live in, less trees for a cooler temperature, less trees that can protect against water pollution. So less trees helping us have cleaner water. Trees also produce oxygen. These are benefits of trees. And the reason I want to share this is for another trumpet that gets sounded. Remember, trees protect against water pollution, right? Clean water. Remember that. Write that down. Some benefits of green grass. Remember that one third of the green grass is burned up in the first trumpet sound. So some benefits of the green grass: purifies the air by trapping dust from the air. So grass actually traps dust. It removes carbon dioxide and gives oxygen to the air. That's a benefit of having grass. Has protein, fiber, carbs, minerals, and vitamins. Grass has all of those things in them. That's why animals eat grass and hay, and that's why you feed this to your animals if you're a farmer, because it has protein, fiber, carbs, minerals, vitamins, and it improves the water quality. So having trees and grass improves the water quality, and it improves the air quality, having purified air. Now we get to the second trumpet. The second trumpet, it says is something. John says this. Revelations 8:8. The second trumpet blew. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became like blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. So John, remember, John is 2,000 years ago. He's looking into the future, so he sees something like a great mountain, and it says with fire, and it fell into the sea. So he's most likely looking at some kind of nuclear weapon, and um, and he just doesn't know. He's looking at something in the future, most likely a nuclear weapon being thrown into the sea. But nevertheless, it kills one third of the living creatures, and then it says one third of the ships destroyed. So the first trumpet is sounded, and there's a war on the land. The second trumpet sounded, and there's war on the sea. I came to that conclusion because one third of the ships are destroyed. So I'm thinking, well, they're fighting a war on the land. Now they're fighting a war on the sea, and people are dying both in both situations. But then something like a nuclear bomb or some kind of something crazy has to be thrown into the sea for one third of the creatures to die. Now, just like the first trumpet, you burn one third of the trees, one third of the grass, and it causes issues with pollution in both the air and the water supply. Imagine the kind of issues you will have in the ecosystem when you have all one third of the sea creatures dying. Think about that. You're gonna have some ecosystem problems. Then the third trumpet. The third trumpet says, the third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star from heaven, blazing like a torch, fell on the third of the rivers and the spring waters. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the water became wormwood, and many people died. from the water because it had been made bitter. Just like when we were looking at the seals, and I told you that one seal was building on top of the other seal, and as the seals were being opened, the seals were building on top of each other. Same thing with the trumpets. As the trumpets are being blown, the effects of this war going on is slowly building on top of each other. So within time, because the trees got burned up, because the grass got burned up, because the sea creatures are dying, now you have the water is contaminated and people are dying from drinking the water. Now, if I see this one third all the time, one third, one third, one third. So what I'm thinking is that this war is in one third of the earth in the same spot. So it's causing the location, the environment that the war is happening to cause in that one environment for the water supply to become contaminated, because in that one place where the war is happening is where the one third of the trees are being destroyed and one third of the grass being destroyed. So trumpet 1 and 2 by default cause trumpet 3 to happen. And all of this by default is because the abomination that causes desolation. And then we get to the fourth trumpet. And this is another one of those, the trumpets are building on top of each other. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of the light may be darkened, and a third of the day might be kept from shining, and likewise a third of the night. Then I heard an angel. Then I looked, and I heard an eagle crying with a loud voice, as it flew directly overhead. Oh, 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 to those who dwell on the earth, at the blasts of the other trumpets that the three angels are about to blow. So, the fourth trumpet, one third of the sun loses its light, one third of the moon loses its light, one third of the stars lose their light. When you have the trees getting destroyed and grass being destroyed, and it's contaminating the water, it's contaminating the air, it's causing the air and causing the water supply in that region to become contaminated and polluted. The fourth trumpet is that pollution from the trees and the green grass, from less trees and green grass, now is causing the sun to lose its light, the moon to lose its light, the stars to lose their light. Is by default. The first trumpet, the war going on, is causing the pollution and causing the water to become contaminated and causing all these things to happen. The ecosystem is not working. This war that's going on is so bad. It's screwing with the Earth's environment. So to sum up, the first four trumpets, when the abomination happens, a war breaks out on one third of the earth, most likely in the Middle East, since that's where the abomination will happen. So it's just another Middle East war. And then that war causes the plants to die, which in return makes the water becomes bitter, and then the air is now not purified because the plants will purify the air, which is increasing the pollution in the air, and then more pollution causes the sunlight the moonlight, the starlight to become more dimmed. And it's all these trumpets is causing all of this to happen. Is the war, the trumpets are being sounded, but in reality, it's this war that mankind is in. And then we get to the beast kingdom. Revelation 9. This is the fifth trumpet. Revelation 9, 1 through 12. And we're not going to talk too much about this just yet. We're going to do a whole Bible study about the beast kingdom, but we will read about it here in Revelation 9, 1 through 12. It says, and the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fall. I saw a star falling from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. So the star falling from heaven, that's representative of Satan. Satan fell from heaven. And then it says, he opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke of the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and were given power like the power of scorpions on the earth. And they were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or any tree, but only those who do not have the seal of God on their forehead. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them. And their torment was like that of torment of a scorpion when it stung someone. And in those days people seek death and do not find it. They were long to die, but death will flee from them. And then watch this. Look at the pictures whenever I'm reading this part. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads, they looked like crowns of gold. Their faces were like human faces. Their hair like woman's hair. Their teeth like lion's teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots, with horses rushing into battle. They have tails and stung like scorpions, and the power to hurt people for 5 months is in their tail. They have as a king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name is in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. The first O has passed, behold, 2 O's are still to come. So when it says the bottomless pit, that's talking about hell. And when it's talking about the king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit, that's also talking about the devil. And then it gives 2 different names for the devil. But then in the pictures that I have up here, Revelation 9:7, their face was like human faces. If you look in the helicopter, in the windows, what do you see? You see human faces. And then Revelation 9:9, there are breastplates of iron. If you look at a helicopter or any military equipment, you see that they're made of iron. They're not made of plastic or metal. Most of them are made of iron. And then the noise of their wings were the sounds of many chariots. When the helicopters, I think it's called wings, are like spinning around and around and around, think about the sound of that they would make. and when they're spinning, around and around and around. And then think about like a movie that you've seen of chariots and horses running, or think of a horse running, or many horses running, and then put the sound of a helicopter spinning his rings round and around and around. And John he sees this, he sees military equipment, and he's trying so hard to describe what he's looking at. And if you think of a scorpion and you look at a helicopter, put a scorpion next to a helicopter, it kind of looks like the same shape. A scorpion and a helicopter kind of look similar. So this is what John is describing. He's describing a military force. He's describing the beast kingdom rising up and a war happening. And then when we get to the trumpet 6, and I don't have much on here, I put the angels of the Euphrates River are released. And then there's a war. Most scholars believe this is World War III. I don't know. I feel like World War III kind of starts, on the first trumpet, but based on what scholars say, like whenever I look at what more professional scholars say on Bible prophecy, they call it the sixth trumpet war. They call it World War III. And I have a note in my Bible that I put down World War III from a time when I heard a pastor actually say that. But when I look at all the trumpets, I feel like when the first trumpet got sounded, I would argue that World War III started right then and there. But I really don't care. I know it's a war, and maybe very well this could be a World War III scenario. But the sixth trumpet blew his the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar before God saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great rivers of Euphrates. So the four angels who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill a third of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. If I remember correctly, that one scholar said this would be a 2 million man war. I think that's what he said, a 2 million man war, a 2 million man army rising up. There's another scripture about this event that we will look at later on, but it describes a army rising up from the east and going towards Israel, or towards the Middle East, verse 17. And this is how I saw the horses in my vision, and those who rode them. They had breastplates of color of fire and sapphire and sulfur, and the head of the horses were like lion heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came from their mouth. By these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed by fire, smoke, and sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouth, and the tails of their tails were like scorpions with heads, and by the means of them were wounded. And the rest of mankind, who were not killed by the plagues, did not repent of their works of their hands, nor gave up worshiping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze, stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk, nor do they repent of their murder and their sorceries and their sexual immorality or their theft. In short, the angels are released and 1/3 of mankind gets, you know, killed. And we will look even more deeper at that prophecy later on. We're going to look, there's going to be a video of the beast kingdom, and there's going to be a video about the angels of the Euphrates River, because that's a whole nother video in its own. I mean, this video in itself could be another hour and a half long if I was to sit here and explain the entire thing in one. And then right here, this is what we got so far. And so, if you've been following along with this Bible study so far, here's what this is. If you notice, though, I added in the two witnesses prophesy for 1,260 days. And then I'm pointing right at the sixth trumpet. When the sixth trumpet is blown, according to, when the sixth trumpet is blown, the two witnesses are killed by the Antichrist. So in Revelation, we haven't got to the seventh trumpet yet, but in Revelation 10, it talks about an angel in a little scroll, and John eats the scroll, and it tastes good in his mouth, but bitter in his stomach. And then he's told, you're going to have to prophesy some more. And then after that, in short, Revelation 11, John is told to measure the temple. He says the outs, where is it? This is actually important. And we're going to dive deeper into the temple too on a whole nother video. But he says that the leave verse 2, but do not measure the court outside the temple. Leave that out, for it has been given to the nations, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months. And I will grant authority over my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. And then later on it says that the beast that rises up from the bottomless pit, and that happens, the beast from the fifth trumpet that rises up from the bottomless pit will come back during the sixth trumpet. And the reason I say sixth trumpet is because we don't see the beast. We don't really see the beast killing anyone until the sixth trumpet, but also at the end of Revelation 11, after John is told about the two witnesses and they die for they are killed from the beast of the bottomless pit. At the end of it says the second O has passed. But before the sixth trumpet begins, it says the first O has passed. So the two witnesses are killed during the sixth trumpet. So pretty much the two witnesses are killed during the sixth trumpet from the bottomless pit beast. And then it calls the Antichrist a beast. And then, so therefore, the beast kingdom will begin somewhere between the fifth and seventh trumpet. The beast kingdom will begin. based on what I'm reading so far. But if that does change, then I'm gonna tell you, hey, I think I'm wrong on that. But based on so far, I'm getting up to this point because in the next couple of chapters, we start reading about the Beast Kingdom. We start reading about the United States in Bible prophecy. We start reading about all these different things. And so if I find out that I'm wrong on something, I will go back and say, hey, I'm wrong about this. But based on how the trumpets are being sounded off, the Beast Kingdom doesn't show up until the fifth trumpet is sounded. But the organization of the Beast Kingdom, that's the key point, is that the how the Beast Kingdom is organized. Another thing is that the temple is rebuilt. But the temple will, I didn't put this on the map, but the temple is going to be rebuilt. I believe prior to the tribulation starting, or just right after the tribulation starting. I still have to look into that. I think it's kind of debatable. That's one of the debate. All of this is debatable. But I'm gonna look into when the temple gets rebuilt. I'm thinking, yeah, the temple gets rebuilt before the tribulation starts because of what this chapter says. Where is it? They will trample the holy city for 42 months. I will grant my authority to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy. So the first set of 42 months would be the temple is already built. So something has to happen. Some kind of like prior peace agreement happens, and then it causes the temple to be rebuilt. Then a major peace agreement must happen. But I do know the temple is ready to be rebuilt as of right now. They have everything set up. It's in a cave in Israel. And I heard they even have the Ark of the Covenant ready to go. I don't know where they got the Ark of the Covenant from, but I heard the Jewish people right now have the Ark of the Covenant. Um, they must have built a new one because the Bible actually tells us that the heavens open up and the Ark of the Covenant's inside of the heavens, or in heaven, I should say, not in the heavens. But this is so far what we got up to this point, and yeah. With that being said, God bless you and have a great day.